I had signed on as an ordinary seaman on the Falls of Ettrick, a merchant ship bound for England. The first time I saw that ship, I knew her right away. She was the old Gertrude Spurshoe. I'd sailed on her years before when she was painted brown and gold. Now, she was painted black and had a new name, but it was the same ship for sure. We had a pretty good looking crew for that voyage, except for one hard looking ticket named McLaren. There was something about him that I didn't trust. He was a good seaman, but he was kind of secretive, kept to himself. One day, somebody told him that I'd worked on the old Gertrude. For some reason, he got all a tremble over that, and I catched him giving me these dirty, ugly black looks as if he was itching to knife me in the back. I guess that's something to do with the old Gertrude, but I didn't know what. Well, this one day, we was trying to work our way through a dripping black fog. You would scarcely know we had all the lights on, and it was dead calm. There wasn't a breath of fresh air. The ship just lay there, wallowing in a trough, rolling and a-rolling, going nowheres. I was standing my watch around midships, and McLaren was doing his trick at the wheel. The rest of the crew was scattered around one place and another. It was as quiet as could be. Then all at once, this thing hits the deck right in front of McLaren. He lets go a screech that turns my blood cold and he falls down in a faint. The second mate starts yelling that somebody has fallen from aloft. Laying out there, just forward of the wheel, was someone, or something, dressed in oilskins with blood oozing out from underneath. The captain ran and fetched a big light from his cabin, so he could see who it was. They kinda strained him out to get a good look at his face. He was a big, ugly-looking devil, but nobody knew who he was or what he was doing up there. At least nobody was saying. When McLaren came to from his faint, they tried to get something out of him. All he did was jabber away and keep rolling those big, wild-looking eyes of his. Everybody was getting more and more excited. We all wanted to heave the body overboard as quick as we could, but there was something weird about it, like it wasn't real. But the captain wasn't so sure about getting rid of it that way. Could it be a stowaway? He asked. But the ship was so filled with lumber that we were carrying, there was no space where a living thing could hide for 3 weeks, which is how long we've been out for. Even if it was a stowaway, what was it doing aloft on such a dirty night like tonight? There was no reason for anybody to be up there. There was nothing to see, nothing to do. Finally, the captain gave us and told us to heave him overboard, but nobody would touch him. The mate ordered us to pick him up, but nobody made a move. He tried doing some coaxing, but that didn't do any good either. Suddenly that loony McLaren starts yelling, "I handled him once, and I can handle him again." He picks up the body and staggers over to the railing with it. He's about to throw him overboard when it wraps its big two long arms around him, and over they go together. The mates are yelling to launch a boat, but nobody would get into a boat, not on a night like that. We threw a couple of life preservers after them, but everybody knew that they wouldn't help at all. So that was that. The first chance I had to go home after that, I went right over to see old Captain Spurshoe, who was captain when the Gertrude was around. "Well," he says, "one trip these two outlandish men shipped aboard the Gertrude. One was McLaren, the other was a really big fella. The big one was always picking on McLaren and thumping him around, and McLaren was always talking about how he would get back at him one day. Well, this wet, dirty night, the two of them was up there alone, and the big one come flying down, killed himself dead in a herring. McLaren says the foot rope they were using parted and how he almost fell himself. But everybody who saw that rope knew she didn't give way on her own. She had been cut through with a knife. After that, whenever we came to the port, McLaren thought we were going to get to the police after him, and he'd get pretty scared. But we couldn't prove anything, so we didn't try. In the end, I guess the big fella took care of things in his own way. If he was a ghost that came back, that's what he was. If there be things like ghosts."